All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tuesday, December 9th. They'll call this finance meeting to order. At this time, I will yield the floor to Chairman Keller. Almost said Westcott. That was.
We'd be in better hands.
Oh, yeah. No, we're in good hands.
Good evening, everybody. Item 1 on tonight's agenda is consideration of a resolution to authorize the mayor and the city clerk treasurer and grants administrator to execute with the Arkansas Department of Energy and Environment an agreement for the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant to construct and connect 2 existing segments of the Russellville Connected Trail System. Move we forward item 1 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Is there any discussion on item 1?
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about it.
Um,
I know Sarah, this morning in a
Yeah.
meeting, I heard something about it, but I'd like to
yeah,
hear
it's
more.
over.
It's connecting Schoolhouse Trail
Schoolhouse
and
with-
the Sequoia Spur.
Yeah, I think it's over about Muskogee, isn't it? Right off of Muskogee, by the Sequoia School, so is where
Yeah.
that's at. It's a
Yes.
small section.
Yes, just a small segment from the end of the Schoolhouse Trail at the end of Muskogee, down Muskogee, and then connecting over to Schoolhouse Trail around. It'll have lights and just be that connection of the trail there.
Yeah, and there was one thing you mentioned this morning about does everybody know about the energy efficiency? I mean, it's in what it says, but what are some of the mechanisms? I mean, you talked about this morning, sounded pretty cool.
Energy efficiency, so this is reducing, really, we got the grant because it's the multimodal, so it's reducing the number of trips that people take in vehicles, providing pedestrian access to things so that not as many cars are on the road. We are using energy efficient lights on the trail, which was another reason that we were able to obtain the grant. We were, as I found out this morning, we were the only one who took that multimodal approach on this grant application through EECBG.
I think it will definitely increase walkability to a
Yes.
food source as far as Kroger through there.
Yes.
I think it'll be really good.
Good job. Thank y'all.
Does the EECBG allow for indirect expenses? Indirect costs?
Potentially, however, on this one, it's limited to 200,000, and the construction costs for that grant are actually higher
Gonna
than
be higher.
200,000, and so we're using all of the funds for construction.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. John Doe, for covering for Ms. Dinkle.
Is there any more discussion on item 1? Hearing none, all those in favor of forwarding item 1 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Item 1 is forwarded. Item 2 is consideration of a reimbursement request for the fourth quarter expenses for the Alliance for Economic Development in the amount of $53,076.17. Moving forward, item 2 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Second and third.
Any discussion on item 2? Hearing none, all those in favor of forwarding item 2 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye. All those opposed, say no. Item 2 is forwarded. Item 3 is consideration of a resolution providing for the amendment to the general fund revenues and expenditures budget for the city of Russellville for the 12 months beginning January 1st, 2026 and ending December 31st, 2026. I move we forward item 3 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Any discussion on item 3? Hearing none. All those in favor of forwarding item 3 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Item 3 is forwarded. Item 4 is consideration of a resolution to provide for the adoption of the special funds revenue and expenditures budget for the city of Russellville beginning January 1st, 2026 and ending December 31st, 2026, appropriating money for each item of expenditures therein provided for. I move we forward item 4 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Any discussion on item 4?
This is the last part of the budget, like
This is what we discussed the other night in the special funds. Yes,
both of these.
yes, yes.
Cool.
Is there any further discussion on item 4? Hearing none, all those in favor of forwarding item 4 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Item 4 is forwarded. And the last item on our agenda for the Finance Committee is consideration of a resolution for the mayor and city clerk treasurer to execute an agreement with the Russellville Advertising and Promotion Commission regarding the benefits, retirement, and payroll of A&P personnel. Moving forward, item 5 to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Is this just a renewal of what we've had in the past, or is there changes?
This is it's a bringing us up to speed of where we should have been. This is integrating Miss Graham into our payroll system. She is technically it's by ordinance, she's a city employee, but she is not under my purview. She's under her board's purview. So basically, if you remember, we had a situation with APRS where we had to go back and pay. So now this is basically just getting us up to speed to where we're actually going to be paying payroll and benefits. Not us paying that, but we're actually going to pay that out, and then there will be a reimbursement for 100% reimbursement from the A&P Commission. So it's just us bringing her on, doing the things legally like we should have been in the past. Now that we have that knowledge and going forward, but there'll be, right now, Finance Department pays, the A&P pays finance for APRS once a month. Now they'll just be paying a one-time reimbursement for payroll, all of the associated expenses, taxes that go with that, any medical benefits that go with that, also the APRS. So it's just kind of bringing us up to speed and concise and complete. Would that be, did I say that right, Mr. Smith? Okay, yes, sir. You good with that, Ms. Baker? I didn't misrepresent you? Okay, yeah, I think that explains that.
I got one more question
Yes, sir.
because I was knee-deep in this a year ago. And I think we're good because I talked to Tanessa, but Mr. Smith and Mr. Mayor are, since she doesn't report to you, she reports to her board, are we all good as far as personnel policies? Is that when?
She doesn't fall under us as personnel. So, does she fall under us as personnel, as you're saying? Oh, it's in the agreement? Okay.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that's clear, and if there's not any personnel action that needs to be, as far as our handbook.
It's what? Oh, the board of, okay, she's not under me personnel. Her board, but she can also, okay, so Tanessa would handle situations for, yes, got you, yeah.
So we're good?
Yes, we're good, yes.
Okay.
We're completely caught up on the APRS.
Yes, we're good with APRS.
Okay.
We're good with everyone on APRS that was related to that situation.
Great.
Yes.
So we got all are we paid up on that?
No, or
Because I know we were doing those.
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're current with
Yeah, okay.
our agreement. Yes, we're current with our agreement. We don't have anybody straggling that we're not, that we haven't done. But
All right,
we
thank
are
you.
current with our agreement with APRS.
Any further discussion on item 5? Hearing none, all those in favor of forwarding item 5 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Item 5 is forwarded. Mayor, that's the last item on our agenda, so I yield the floor back to you.
All right, we will adjourn, and then we will come back as soon as Ms. Skelton gets back up here with her list. So, yes, I do. She said, you don't have to say my name every time. Yes, I do. It'll be out of street department fund. Yeah, they spend money on trails, connectivity. They have a connectivity budget. It'll be in that, it's already in the appropriated funding. So. lives where Mark Tripp used to live. Oh, right behind Edwards. Yep. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Thank you. We will call this meeting back to order. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll look at, this is Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, agenda prep. Let me see. So we've got consideration of appointments of Francis Lewis and Sean Wojciech. Wojciech? Wojciech. Okay, Wojciech. Yeah, the airport commissioner. This is by Mr. Carp. We'll have that. You'll have all that submitted. We have an appointment that is a request by Stephen Mallett for Jerry Bradford to the City Court Board. We will also be presenting the Employee of the Year at this upcoming council meeting. That is a secret, yes, yes.
Awesome.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Who leaked that one? So, no, we will be having the Employee of the Year. So, all right, Mr. Duval, you got 2 minutes and 2 seconds of discussion of what we're going to hear on the departmental report on the. It's good.
So Prairie Creek still ongoing, obviously. Like I said, I hope some of y'all's got out to see it, and it's
big.
pretty amazing, actually. I think it's gonna help. Oh, it'll help a lot, actually, but won't solve everything, but it'll help. The Tampa drainage, I'd say we're at 90% complete. We're getting close to the point we're going to start putting sod and that type of stuff down, so we're getting to the end there. West Main, we always do a punch list after the job, and that's what we're doing right now. And the contractor's going through the punch list, so that, I mean, it's all but finished, but we do a final walkthrough, and if we see things, we have them go back and fix it. Also, I left my notes. I'm probably going to forget something. The sidewalk maintenance, it's still ongoing. I'm sure one of the most visible ones is in front of the hospital we did. I don't know if y'all have noticed that.
They're still doing that one.
Yeah, it looks very nice. So, Waterloo, still ongoing. Slower than I want it to go,
Yeah.
but it's going. So,
At least it started.
Yes.
At least it started.
You can see we've done something anyway. So, anyway, I believe that's all I have, unless y'all have any questions.
You're talking about Prairie Creek, Parkway and Commerce area where we put that new parking lot. There's a lot next to that
Yes.
and a lot across the street. Is that all going to be roped in to the Corps' work there?
A lot of that is going to be part of the core, and I believe Future Trail will go through there
Between
as well.
Commerce and Arkansas, you'll see Future Trail
Yeah.
and about 11 or 12 more parking spots. I can't remember the exact number. And then on the other side, you will see, the goal is to see more parking eventually. There is an anticipated tunnel that would go underneath Highway 7 there.
Sweet.
To connect that without having to be
We
for
talking about
pedestrian safety.
green space too, like around the parking area?
Yeah, there'll be some green space down there.
Yep.
Yeah, once we get it all
Hopefully
done.
the lights will be here soon. We'll get the lights
Yeah.
up. in
I saw the
parking
one
lot.
on El Paso. They
Yeah.
pulled the old one
Yes,
down and the new one's
that
working.
one, that one is mostly in operations. That could possibly change tonight. They probably will put it in full operation. So, and then they'll move on to the next one, Denver. It looks a lot nicer, doesn't it?
Man, I'm super stoked.
Yes, yes.
When's the Parkway Bridge work? Will that be done on the trail? Or the Prairie Creek?
March, we looking at, Glenn?
That's the anticipated date. We won't know until we get final approval from the Corps.
Looks about March.
But approximately March is the tentative date that they'll start to demo and replacing that bridge.
Yep. There's not a good time to do it, but it'll be
No, there's
good
not a
get
good time to
done.
replace that bridge.
No, there's just not, but we'll make it as good as possible, though.
Possibly spring break is one of the, where we're shooting in March here.
Yeah.
Right now.
and it'll go in, not real fast, but it'll go in faster than expected.
Yeah.
It'll be faster than you think, I believe, so. Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
One thing, and I want to say this about the work y'all have been doing over the years, really. Had some family come in recently from all over Canada, up north, out west. They loved Russellville. They thought the shops were great and the people were really nice. But the thing that they talked about more than anything was how nice our roads are, how nice our city streets are.
Good.
And so I just want to say that y'all are doing a bang-up job. And
It's a team effort, including y'all too, so I appreciate it.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you, sir. Okay, hey, Mr. Gray, I missed you? No? Oh. Oh, well, Paul, roll the dice for us if you can on the prayer. I missed you. I missed you.
I forgot about my important job. I thought you were going to say personnel, but I'll save you. There's no report.
No. No, we just need to get the roll us three numbers between 1 and 31.
Try not to get the same ones from last month.
8,
8. We've never had 8 before.
11.
11. Never had 11.
Can't have that again. 4.
4.
I haven't had 4.
8, 11, and 4. All right. He's did a great
Got
job.
your lotto, starting numbers for lotto. as
Yes,
well.
okay. All right, so moving on into, am I not missing here, just making sure anything. New business will be a consideration of an ordinance amending the current zoning code for City of Russellville adopted by ordinance 2443 and for other purposes. Mr. Wilson, is this just some cleanup in the zoning code and you want to share that with us?
Yes, sir. It was, this is our Q4 Long-Range Planning Commission, or Committee, excuse me, edits to the existing zoning code. And I counted about 5 or 6 changes, including removing the extraterritorial jurisdiction or the planning boundary per the Arkansas legislative session this year. Aesthetic design for roll-up doors for auto repair garages. Allowing digital signs in C4 neighborhood and quiet business via special use permit. Tree preservation credit loophole for parking lot landscaping. As it currently stands, tree preservation credits were being kind of by omission allowed to apply to parking lot landscaping, so we wanted to close that loophole. As well as temporary signage square footage allowance upped from 16 square feet to 32 square feet. And being firm on that 30-day limit for those temporary signs for larger retailers like Academy and Apple Hop coming into town with questions regarding our 16-foot allowance right now as it stands.
On the digital sign, so you said that's a special use permit?
Yes, sir.
Will that address those, some of them, like, one of the schools has one that strobes, and it's midnight, and man, it's really bright. Is that a consideration in that as well, as far as
So-
special use?
Yes, so as it stands, and I'm not sure when this particular sign went in the current, a long time ago, in the current zoning code, digital signs are not allowed to have bright flashing animations. They have to be smooth and one what do you call it, brightness level. So
We got complaints on that one before, so I
Yeah.
just wanted to make sure we had since special use, that'll come up, so.
Okay. Yes, absolutely.
All right, so if you don't mind, stay there.
Yeah.
Moving on to item 2 is going to be consideration of ordinance accepting the dedication of right-of-ways and easements. City of Russellville and the plat of Hunt Estate Manor subdivision, which is kind of a weird wording for a 2-lot subdivision.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
And
I would agree with you.
this is out on Amy Lynn Place. Kind of give us a quick rundown on that.
Sure. So basically, this is a minor subdivision. We are splitting from a total of, or a lot that was essentially just shy of 4 acres down to 2 lots, one about 2.5 and one about 1.5 acres. Under normal circumstances, this would just be a staff level review. The issue here is that we are having to dedicate right-of-way because When this part of the city was annexed, way back when, the right-of-way on Hilltop Drive and Amy Lynn Place, which is where this current subdivision is located, it wasn't dedicated. So which is why we have to bring it to city council, because we don't have the authority to dedicate that right-of-way at the staff level. Again, this is the intent per the owners, is that the lot being pulled off of it, that's being subdivided, is going to be sold as one parcel to build a single-family home on. So no major development, no, multiple homes being built in this area.
It sounds a lot bigger. That's the reason I wanted you to explain it, because it sounds a lot bigger than what it actually is. So
Right, yes.
It's just
The hunt
two
estates,
parcels,
yes.
yeah, so,
Yes.
yeah, so.
So the neighbors are all, I mean, there's no controversy or?
Not that we've been
Okay.
informed of, no.
And this comes recommended by the planning commission, so they've
Correct,
heard it, yes.
yes.
Yep. All right, I think that's all we got for you, unless there's anyone else that has anything else. I do want to say, while you're standing up there and I'm looking back at Mr. Shedian, planning and fire building safety have been working their tails off here lately. There's all kinds of inspections going on. You've got Aldi opening up in the morning. You've got Domino's getting ready. They're finalizing. You've got Burger King just did. So, I mean, planning and development has just been working alongside fire building safety. They've been really doing a great job for us, and we appreciate them. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And then we have item 3 is going to be discussion of a citizen ask that the council hear her and her neighbors' concerns about a city burn permit. Mr. Gray, you're bringing this. Can you give us a little bit of information, sir?
Yes, Ms. Clear brought this to, I think, 2 or 3 of us on the council, and I told her, as usual, if a citizen brings something, I'm going to bring it forward. So, Ms. Clear, if you'd like to speak, and I've also asked our fire marshal, Chief Sedian, to be here to give an account and answer questions as well.
Please state your name for I think you know, but go ahead. I have to say that.
I know the drill. Terry Clear. So at the beginning of November, I looked out the window to see the entire neighborhood blanketed in thick white smoke. It lasted for a couple hours. It happened last year, and then it originated from a residence about a quarter mile away, and this time it was even a little further down the road. When I called the fire department to investigate, I was informed that they had a commercial burn permit and that it would burn for days. It actually burned for several weeks and until the rain came. So the commercial burn permit says that it's for the commercial clearing of land and or agricultural field burning. Heavy equipment has to be on site for the duration of the burn. It also states that when open burning allowed by this permit creates or adds to a hazardous situation, the fire code official is authorized to order extinguishment of the open burning operation. On the other hand, a bonfire also requires a special permit, and that says that it has to be constantly attended until completely extinguished, should not have a total area of more than 5 by 5 by 5, and allows burning only dry, well-seasoned firewood or similar clean burning wood. Land clearing waste and or refuse shall not be used to fuel a bonfire. In addition, a means of extinguishment shall be available for immediate utilization. The permit we're all familiar with is the open burn permit. It's issued for fuel areas less than 3 foot by 2 foot, and many people do this. It's a one-day thing and one and done. You know, whenever you have a small pile of brush, you burn it. So 4 years ago, a row of pines had to be taken down on our land to make space for building. We didn't. The contractor called the Mennonites. They came and they cut the trunks to length. They loaded them up on a trailer. They carried them away, all free of charge. We had the remaining brush carried off and taken care of somewhere else so that it didn't, our contractor was like, because I said, well, let's just light that up. And he said, no, we will take it away. We're not going to burn it in the neighborhood. Even when the land was cleared for the Wynwood Gardens walkable neighborhood project, it wasn't burned there. The concern, it's not a concern, but we don't offer brush pickup to residents here. Some cities do, some don't. So people use the open burn permit to burn their brush that branches fall out of the tree or whatever. I don't have a problem with that. The problem is the commercial burning in a residential area. It's a bad hazardous environment for elderly people, people with illnesses. Just because you have a lot that you want to clear of all the wood doesn't mean you should burn it in a residential neighborhood. It went on for weeks. You can't open your windows. You can't work in your yard if you have a problem. You can't walk your dog down the street. It's one thing to have sovereignty over your own property, but when you're not considerate of the people around you, then somebody needs to step in. So I think that commercial burning permits, the commercial ones, should not be allowed in residential areas, because I don't think any of you would want it in your neighborhood. And there are still plenty of wooded lots in ours. So, and Ms. Hargis was the only neighbor that was available to come. She's already spoken to the mayor about this. Most of the people I talked to had it's Christmas coming up and people couldn't come, but there were a lot of people affected, and she actually lives directly behind the lot that burned this time. So that's what I had to say. Any questions?
So your concern is just with the commercial burn, not the
Absolutely.
open burn so much?
Absolutely. And there's actually a guy on Turrentine that is building up a pile of brush. I don't know what he's planning to do, but he's behind my brother's house, and I don't know what he's going to do with that.
So I live a couple of blocks from the commercial burn that just happened. And I admit I did not know it was going on until I got your email.
Okay.
Because I just don't know if the way the wind was blowing, I wasn't right behind it. So, I mean, obviously if I'd been right behind it, I would have been affected.
Right.
But, and I have not received any communication from other people in that area. Otherwise, I would have really just, like.
Yeah, well, I don't know exactly where you live, but the prevailing winds are from the southwest.
Okay.
That will bring it directly to my house.
Yeah.
And obviously, Ms. Hargis and, can't remember their last name, but her neighbors right next door, they were affected. My brother across the street was affected.
Do you have, so aside from like the Mennonites, it was like whoever contracting with them, what are potential things that people who wanted to clear commercially for their, like, to build on their property, what should they just get a wood chipper and, like what are some other ways we could, because I don't know that we're going to be able to just get rid of the burn permit.
In the walkable neighborhood? They didn't burn there.
Which welcome neighborhood are you talking about?
Windwood Gardens, Sequoia Gardens.
The walkable neighborhood.
Oh, that was burned.
Was it?
Yeah, they burned for days, yeah. Yeah, they burned for
Oh,
well
somebody
over
told
a
me
month.
they did not burn.
Oh, no, they burned that, yeah.
It just was over a longer period of time. They did a little bit of time.
Well, and when they cut and then burn, it's all green wood burning. It's not like dead wood. So you have it smoldering, and it's just unpleasant.
Yeah, no, I definitely am not in favor of everybody having smoke in their living room, and not being able to do the everyday things but if we could figure out a way to mitigate, you would think that consistent burning over several weeks, like, we would have to put a stop to that, if it's only supposed to be for a few days.
Right. Robert Baldwin Construction is who built my house. He's built several houses up there and in the city. And he's the one that called the Mennonites. He's the one that knows the guy that carried off my brush to wherever he took it to burn it or what to dispose of it. I don't know. So I don't personally know, but
I'm definitely in favor of the open burn permit, because I mean, I use that.
we do too.
Because we have so many trees in our neighborhood and leaves and branches, like you have to be able to, you know.
Right,
burn it a
we
little
do
bit.
too, but it doesn't go on for days, and the whole neighborhood isn't white because they just lit up all
Yeah.
this green wood.
Yeah.
Is there like maybe a compromise though? So I've been talking to a lot of people about this, and it's really hard to completely get rid of it because you don't want to discourage people from building necessarily, but I'm allergic to life, so I totally understand this entire argument, and so I've talked to a lot of people at the fire department about it, and I'm just wondering if maybe we could add some harder ways to get these permits. Does that make sense? Like, make everybody give a week's notice to the block radius, make everybody do 5 days, and that's it. Or are there ways, maybe that's a chief setting question, but are there ways to make it a little more harder, like that way it's not happening unless there's an actual reason for it to be happening? Like if it's just because someone doesn't like a tree, I don't love that idea, but if they're gonna build a development, I feel like it needs to be an option. Is there like a way to put more rules in place on how they can get the permits?
Mr. Shedian,
Chief
would you
Shedian,
please approach?
You're welcome.
Would you please identify yourself?
Richard Sedian, Fire Marshal. Let me put a little perspective on this. If you look at state law, there's a couple things you look at. If you look at state law, the Arkansas Code 86-1702, actually what it says, it strongly discourages the burning of yard waste, believe it or not. However, it says, it's not a requirement, it's, hey, we discourage it, and it's an environmental thing, all right? And it encourages through educational and voluntary compliance efforts a way to regulate it with citations and things like that to be like last resort. So when you look at that, state law actually addresses it. The fire code then says if you're going to do open burning, this is how to do it properly. You pull a permit. You're out there with it on residential. There's certain ways it's done, right? So to answer your question, we have the ability to require the process, change the process. For example, on commercial permits, which we initiated a few years ago, we have an application and everything's online. One of the fire marshals have to actually go out and inspect that project prior to the issuance of the permit. And there's also a fee with that. Of course we can add to that. I think it does make things a little bit more difficult. As the mayor was mentioning, the walkable neighborhood, that was very, very, very wet. It was a long process. You had to let portions of it to be dry before they get the dozers in there, and so you start weighing like that. How can we move forward with the development, not make it too difficult, not make it too costly? Then we got tons of complaints from the Van Buren area, that neighborhood, and so we were out there on complaints once a week, every other week, standing with the residents saying, no, it's going to be fine. They're within they're meeting the requirements. So it's not it can be complex. Burning can be a complex matter. I mean, some cities across the U.S. you can't burn. Whatever you do, they have for leaves and limbs. They have a pickup process, and for developments. You haul everything off like the contractor did on that one, right? So in the city of Russellville, we choose to allow burning, and so the agency that issues the permit must also address the complaints. It's just what we do. You could expedite commercial burning. There's techniques that companies use to expedite. It's more costly. I mean, you can. And then you can say we're going to limit it to these days or whatever. But commercial burns follow the same pretty much the same rules as far as, you can't burn during burn ban and none of those kind of things. But you give them, you can't have them, you can't have on residential open burning permits, we want those fires out by dark. And the reason we do is because people typically go to bed and they can get out, right? On bonfires, that's more of a ceremonial, that's more for ceremonial. So when somebody wants a bonfire permit, they're having the teams come in, or they're having a big, whatever pep rally, and we issue a bonfire permit for that. That's different. That's ceremonial. But you can't really order extinguishment on a commercial burn when they're clearing, 12 acres for a subdivision. So you regulate it the best that you can. We have a burn permit policy in our SOPs, our operating procedures. We have a online, you can go and you can fill out for a residential permit, and it lays out the things that, and when you talk about things like a 2x3, like a 3 by 3 plus 2 foot high, or vice versa, open burn, that has to do with how adjacent it is to a structure, right? So if it's 25 feet or less, you can only be so big. So you try to regulate that the best that you can. And then on commercials, again, on residential, we don't inspect. On commercial, we do. I just got called for the Prairie Creek widening, that core project. The contractor called me to go out and look off Parkway, look at those piles, and just to make sure they were clear. So we try to do as good as we can. But at the end of the day, it's the city council that decides. If they say, look, all developments, all commercial, anything that's not burning leaves or limbs, like the fire code discusses, we want that hauled off. That's entirely up to you. But as long as there's burning, we have to have a protocol. We have to have a procedure. Can we make it more, I don't want to call it difficult, but can we expedite? Sometimes on wind and things like that, you can't do anything. Hey, we're going to burn today, and the wind changes. So we can't do that. But if you say something like, well, this project only, a commercial burn is only allowed 5 days maximum, then it's got to be completely burned up. Those are things that we can talk about, but ultimately it's y'all's decision on whether or not the city of Russellville is allowed to burn.
On
go
that
ahead.
note, I got property out in Yale County. It's 6 miles from any city. But when we burn, we keep the tractor there trying to facilitate. Do we have any regulations that, because if you just let something burn, that's one thing. You get one kind of smoking situation. And if you get a tractor and keep piling on top of itself and expedite it, it burns a lot quicker. Do we have anything like that? Or do you monitor anything like that? Or can they just light a giant pile and walk away and it's 5 days, 6 days, whatever?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
I'm going to stay in the middle. So on a residential burn, it explicitly states that you got to have something, water hose, shovel, whatever, and you got to be with it. And that's in the fire code, right? Fire code doesn't get real specific on commercial clearing of land, all right? So what we ask is that you have heavy equipment. You have things like dozers and track hose and things, not necessarily water, because you can't do that on a pile like the walkable neighborhood, right? You can't keep water. You can't get a water tank truck, right? But you can have dozers and you can have track hose, and they can mix and they can do it. The challenge we have, though, is if I have a huge operation that's going to take 2 weeks, it's hard for a company to have people 24/7 to stay up with it all night. A lot of times, though, they know how to do it. They'll get it kind of together down to where it kind of a low glow, and it'll just kind of glow, and then the next day they'll kick it back up again. So yes, we do want equipment with it, but it's difficult to have a 24/7 on a 2-week burn. Now, again, City Council says we want that changed. We want someone attending it 24/7, fire watch. We can do that. That's just something we don't do because it's difficult on the contractor.
Right.
I think you'd have an issue there, though, with your noise ordinance, because you can't run a track hoe in the neighborhood after
Yeah,
9 o'clock.
yeah,
So
right,
I mean, so if you start running, you're going to run into a situation as far as running heavy equipment after certain hours. So I think that's
Well,
going to be your
I'm not
issue.
suggesting that. I just meant you
Watch
can light
it.
something on fire and it'll burn for a long time, just sitting there
Right,
smoldering and lots of
right,
smoke. But
right.
if you keep tending it during the daytime, keep tending it, it burns quicker. I didn't know if we had something like that. So.
Yeah, and one more thing, as far as commercial and residential, you know, that you have commercial projects. Like if you're putting a subdivision in, that is a commercial project, right? You're clearing, according to what we're looking at, infrastructure, water, sewer, roadways, that's a commercial project. So you have to be careful, again, if you look at that, you have to look at, okay, how do I define a commercial burn in a residential area? So something else.
And that's the only reason I was saying not to completely get rid of it, is I don't want to discourage these legitimate, like, you know, we need that, we need development, but it obviously needs regulation. So if we choose to keep it, do we work with you to make the regulation, like the changes, or?
Yeah, so
just
so
encourage
yeah,
you to
so
do it?
yeah, so the state, all the state says is we discourage it, but you know, have that process, have that compliance process in play. So most cities have their permit process and their local burn process. So let's say that you want to make a change to the commercial. Yeah, you would just say, hey, here's what we would like to do, and we would make that change. We would put it in our operating procedures.
How many do you think we issue a year? Like right now, commercial, is it a lot? Like, is it?
We probably issue, I'm saying maybe 15.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, more than what you would think. And sometimes those are just one day. Some days they're some days they're like, you know, somebody has their own little front end loader and they're cleaning like just a little bit of acreage around, and it's going to take just a couple days, but we still go out and inspect it, and we still issue the commercial side. But I'm just guessing. That's a.
Looking at the commercial open burn permit application, paragraph 5, it says, when open burning creates or adds to a hazardous situation. To paraphrase the rest of it, it says then the
Yes.
fire code official has to step in. So is there somewhere in the city code, or maybe in the statute you've referenced, that clearly defines hazardous?
That is, man, that's so subjective. That's like the hardest part of our job, because somebody calls and says, man, sir, or whatever, I can't breathe. This is hazardous. And then we look at this and they go, man, yeah, I mean, inhaling smoke is inherently hazardous, but it's not really a hazardous situation. Like, is it going to cause a wildland interface fire? Is it a situation in which it's going across a roadway, like is it going across West Main and now drivers can't see? We have to, when we look at that creating a hazardous, is very, very subjective.
So some of it's a judgment call.
It's very much a judgment call, exactly. Unless like if we reckon, we actually have criteria for, like, let's say wind. You get issued a permit and the wind picks up, right? I go out there and I say, look, the wind's 20 plus, gusts at 25 plus. I'm asking you to put the fire out because that's a hazardous situation. So there are some guidelines there, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes you're like, man, they followed the rules. It's really not hazardous. So very judgment, a lot of judgment.
Is there a time limit?
On residential, we ask that the fire is out by dark unless it's a recreational or a bonfire, because you want those at dark, right? So there's all kind of loopholes in that system, right? But residential burns, leaves and limbs, you want them out by dark. Commercial, that's one of the issues, is we don't have any limitation on that at this point. So, again, this walkable neighborhood, man, it was burn and stop for, I don't know how many, 3 months.
Is a while.
Long time. And, that's the way we kind of deal with it now. But again, it's kind of up to you all. If you come to some kind of, hey, this might be better, that all we do is just change our procedure.
I know that you say that there's a lot of gray area, and that's part of the hard part of your job, is interpreting that gray area. if we, like you said, so if, in your example where the wind picks up to 25 miles an hour and it becomes hazardous, and what you said there is that you go ask them to please put it out. One, if it's a hazard, can you not tell them to put it out? And two, would creating more clear guidelines as to what a hazard would be beneficial as far as taking away some of that gray area, so you're able to point, no, it's 25-mile-an-hour winds today. You've got to stop it. This is something, you know.
Yeah, and you know, I'm just kind of, I ask people in so many ways, but I'm actually telling them, right? So I apologize, I wasn't accurate with that. Yeah, and the second one is we actually have hard criteria that's looked at that says, you know what, you can't burn today, even though there's no burn ban, right? Even though it's daylight, you can't burn today. And so we've got some of those guidelines. Typically it's your wind, right? Your wind speed and your gusts. But yeah, I usually, it may be like this, hey, I'm going to have to ask you to put the fire out today. And it's kind of like that. But, and if they go, so we never have really any resistance to that. It's more about, the toughest thing is when you get a complaint and you got to go to that citizen and go, man, they're following all the rules. I got to let them burn. And so that's the most challenging.
Ms. Clear, did you have something you wanted to add real quick?
Yeah, that smoke did go.
Yeah, so that people at home can hear you.
Yeah, the smoke did go across Skyline. Sorry. Because I did have people tell me they were driving and couldn't see anything, but that's not my point right now. I know Mr. Duval skated out of here after his report, but what do they do in Dardanelle? They pick up brush. What do they do with it?
They pick up leaves. I don't think
You cannot burn in Dardanelle.
Okay.
So what do they do with theirs? And what?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they take it somewhere and burn it. So yeah. They would take it somewhere and
Right.
burn it. I would think so.
What do we do with storm things that Public Works does collect?
It goes somewhere and gets burned.
Do we have somewhere where citizens could bring it and pay to, or contractors and pay to have it burned?
No, we do not have. We don't have a facility that large.
Well, it
that
wouldn't
we
have to
could
be in town.
Well, but then we wouldn't own it because it wouldn't be in town. So it would be a situation. Yeah, contractors normally have their own place that they take, like R&R Tree Service, Treewise Tree Guys, Lens. All those guys have a particular place where they take their own trees and dispose of them. So a contractor has a place that they do that. But we have a couple of places where when we have storm damage, we'll take, and we have to wait and get to a point where we can actually fit it in our schedule and burn what we have. So.
Okay, because does the EPA have any regulations on this?
No. We actually, municipalities can actually burn their own waste. That is legal. We actually have gone to this year, because we do have a place where people can take, small limbs and debris at the animal control, and we're going to start burning that at that facility this year because the state allows us to do that and EPA allows us to do that. Because the price went up to like $180,000 to process it.
Okay. Yeah, because I know where John worked, they had a burner and they had to get a permit from EPA to be able to, and they did pick up brush.
Yeah.
Or people could bring it.
Yeah, you can for, small loads of brush. You just can't bring in large trees at the animal control. So.
Okay. All right.
So I think at the end of the day, the council, what Mr. Setian is saying is, it is your will as the council how you wanted to proceed. If you wanted to add different regulations, if you wanted to add different timelines, that's your will. And at the end of the day, I know fire building safety is going to do what the code says, and they'll go out and they'll enforce whatever the council chooses to put in place. So, I mean, does anyone else have anything on that? You good, Mr. Keller? You look like you were pondering something. Okay. Mr. Duval was watching at home, and he said there is an incinerator in Dardanelle, so he just texted. So, all right, moving on from that, the discussion regarding organizational meeting to set the date to pick the committees. I just was visiting with Mr. Smith. We actually, due to the fact that this is not a brand-new council, we already have a lot of people in place, we can actually make that meeting on January 13th, the same day that we have our finance and agenda prep. If you guys would just like to, Mr. Smith, what would be the best process on that? Finance, agenda prep, and then organizational meeting? You do it the other way around. So organizational first, and then go through. Okay. Yes, yes, ma'am. You may.
If you'll look, these are not the normal dates that we should be meeting in January. So we're going to meet on January 13th. That's because they have the
Municipal League.
Municipal League, and our council meeting would have actually ran on that, so I had to move them up and move it back a week.
So the 13th is going to be our full
agenda-
council meeting.
No, 13th will be
is our
finance and agenda prep. And then you'll push
and
full
we're gonna
council
push it
back a week.
Back to
So-
the 22nd?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm glad we thought about that early this year instead of we didn't think about that last year. So, no, but if we, like I say, so is everybody, no one is opposed to doing that on the 13th? We knock that all out in one night?
Let's not create extra meetings.
Okay. Anything else that I'm missing for the better of the?
Can we run the by me one more time, Mr. Mayor?
We're going on January 13th. We will have our organizational meeting where you guys set your bylaws, or as for lack of a better word. Then you'll have finance, and then you'll have agenda prep, and then a week later than normal, you will have your full council meeting because of the schedule with the Arkansas Municipal League. Yeah, you're kind of being a week behind.
On the 13th is when we're
22nd.
having the agenda prep and all the stuff, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Can I make a motion that we have our organizational meeting at Point Remove?
No.
I'm kidding.
All right. Anyone else have anything? All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are adjourned.